In a world filled with conflict, in a universe comprised of differences, there's one thing that absolutely everything shares in common. We all exist. Including two guys named Jack and Michael, who like to chat about that very thing over a good cup of coffee. Let's pay them a visit, shall we?
Existence Brewing.
My wife said, "Don't tell any toilet jokes on the."
You still remember the earthquake
Don't tell
story,
any toilet jokes on the Johnny Costa show. And the guy came on. One of the cops came over. He just told me a toilet joke.
Don't do it.
I'm going to try and tell it. See if I clean it up a little.
All right.
Three old guys sitting around convalescent home. One guy says, "If I could just do number one." I mean, if I could do like a strong number one, like, you know, not in dribs and drabs. The second guy says, "If I could do a good number two, I mean, a solid one, you know, squeeze and it comes out, you know, it's terrible." Third guy says, "I do wonderful number one, like torrential rains in Pango Pango, like the Mississippi River." He says, "That's at 7:30 every morning. And 7:35 in the morning, I have a wonderful number two." He says, "Like Mount St. Helens." He says, "Is erupting. That's at 7:35 in the morning." So the other guy says, "So what are you complaining about?" He says, "Well, I don't get out of bed till 9.
You know, that is so funny. Those guys are here all the time, and we see them sitting over there laughing. Man, we need to like eavesdrop a little bit more on that conversation. Those guys are hilarious.
They're such an odd couple, though. I mean, sorry, couldn't help.
When that episode of Johnny Carson aired,
it would have to have been post May 18th, 1980, because Mount St. Helens erupted.
Wow, you're sharp. You are
date.
Sharp, aren't you? Yeah, no,
it must have been in 1980, sometime shortly after.
December 10th, 1981.
81. Okay, so a year and a half later.
It feels like it was eons ago.
Yes, once again, Jack's going to be the stick in the mud. I couldn't stand grumpier old men or grumpy old men. And Jack Lemmon is such a wonderful actor as well. Alongside him, they were legendary together, of course, as the Odd Couple, as I mentioned, Felix and Oscar on TV. But oh, good Lord, that movie with who was the old dame that they were? She was an old
she was an old actress as well. Yeah, I don't remember. It was a good movie. Some people are Anne Margaret. Problems that they'd created with their misunderstandings and their ignorance or whatever. It doesn't matter what kind of men they were men. By the time you get to be that old, you are a grown man or woman. You've arrived, or you should have, at least, in many facets. And here they are acting like fools, children, over this woman. And I'm thinking, do their parts even work well enough anymore for them to be this engrossed in a dame, in a broad? In a broad.
That's
People don't call women broads and dames anymore either, Jack.
I know. I'm.
Have you heard about this where Americans are actually moving abroad? There's a small percentage of people who, when they retire, they decide to move to a foreign country. And they decide that for various reasons, whether it's healthcare costs or just the cost of living, that their destination is just better suiting for their new limited means or fixed income budget. And I really didn't even think that this was
a thing, but then I was thinking back that like 10 years ago, there was a local guy that you and I probably would have known who owned a tire store. And he ended up retiring with his wife down in Mexico. And at the time, it was kind of wild. And it was like, really, do you know Spanish? No, there's a whole community down there of former expats. Yeah, that's what they call them, expats, who are basically just kind of in this like commune, and their money goes further. So it got me thinking, like, where in the world would you want to live, Jack, if you could live anywhere else?
Well, first of all, you said, have I ever thought about moving abroad? I'll tell you what, as long as you don't feed them too much bonbons, I can move abroad with the best of them, let me tell you.
I knew you would go back into that one.
I think right now there's been a trend. I mean, didn't Rosie O'Donnell or somebody like that move away when Trump was elected and then moved back again?
I think she threatened to, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, we actually have people who are like becoming shamed expats. They're like, it's like shame moving abroad. They're leaving the country because they're ashamed of the U.S. and the state of not only the political sense, but I would guess the sociological aspects of our society as well. I can't say that I blame them. I've had this conversation with Maddie. What do you think? I mean, I've moved all the way across the country before, and that was a nightmare. But I think I put myself in a worse position. I'm not sure how I would feel living in a different country. I also know a couple, they had moved to, it's always going to be Costa Rica to me, but I keep hearing Costa Rica, so fine, tomato, Costa. They moved to Rica, and not Eureka, Costa. And that was supposed to, I mean, they were telling me stories about how, oh yeah, we got a place right on the beach and it's paradise and it's, you know, the equivalent of $280 a month US, and we're going to be spear fishing for fresh perch all day and then fish tacos with a friendly man that'll just whip them up for you next door. And oh, by the way, the median temperature is 72 for 9/10 of the year, and although there's a rainy season, it's only a thimbleful more than you could expect out of Seattle. And you know, all this, they lined it up to be this Shangri-La, and they were back within a year. And when I asked them why, and I said, so none of those things were true, were they? And they said, no, actually all of those things were true. We just couldn't get used to it. We couldn't get used to living in Central America. We're Americans. And we missed our access to, you know, Axel Grease cheeseburgers at 3 a.m. and Chick-fil-A and, you know, vanilla flavored vodka and by the gross from the mini mart and all this other wonderful stuff about living in the States. And so they came back. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's selective. It's individual. Is it surprising there are communities of expats? I mean, like I said, now we actually have people that are living in shameful diaspora. They're literally like leaving, you know, they're repatriating just to get away from a culture that they feel has gone into a tailspin. And I would not disagree with that move, but do I want to make it myself?
It definitely takes a next level mindset, I think, to live in a third world country. Well, Costa Rica is not really necessarily third world, but Thailand has become a popular destination. And there was a guy online that I was actually watching a video who was doing a review of what it's like to live in Thailand. And one of the things that he actually brought up was there are weeks that will go by where his home doesn't have water. And, and for some reason, the infrastructure or the grid or whatever just kind of like goes belly up, brownouts or power outages or whatever. You know, I mean, I think there are a lot of things that we just kind of expect, but you know, that's also kind of what adds to the cost of living in this country is that you've got this infrastructure around you that is reliable for the most part.
I watched a show, it's been years ago now, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe not quite that long, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. It was a think tank of all of these great scholarly men. They were all, forgive me, but they were all men
and they were experts in different areas of societal infrastructure, if you will. And they categorically and systematically broke down all of the failures that are current and foreseeable in each of these systems. And the point was to arrive at what our biggest problem as a world of humans, as a world population, will become over the next 50 to 100 years, I want to say. What's going to essentially become the biggest threat to not wiping us out. This wasn't about we're all going to die someday because of this, but we're going to have a massive problem as a result of this. And they looked at things like nuclear waste, and they looked at things like coal-fired power plants and the pollutants that are generated from them. Lots of different things. And all of them, the consensus at the end of this long, drawn-out show with all this dismal news, I mean, you had to be in the right mood to watch this. Otherwise, it was just Woody Woodpecker reruns, because it's the only thing that would have saved you, is something that puerile and silly and redundant. But they said water, clean water, access to clean, and here we go again, potable,
it's
as in drinkable, potable, not potable, folks, potable water. Access to potable water was the biggest problem that will face the societies of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Over the next century.
Potable water. And I've also heard that being able to store and refrigerate food is going to be a challenge. And if you don't have electricity, then how are you going to prepare food? Because a lot of times people will have these stockpiles of food and MREs or rations, but then it's like, yeah, but you don't have any water to constitute the mash, or you don't have any way to heat the mash. So, congratulations, you're now living off of crackers.
The only thing you could do is move to Nunavut or Siberia, or
there you go,
one of those places where it's just freezing constantly, so you can just always kind of count on things things won't spoil, at least in the environs that are outside. Yeah. Although even Barrow, Alaska, Utqiagvik, which is what it's known as now, it's the native name, because I was there some years ago on the summer solstice, and it wasn't exactly cold. The sun was out. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was a beautiful day. And it was, I wouldn't describe it as balmy, but it wasn't freezing. I mean, It wasn't frigid. So maybe even that far north of the Arctic Circle, there would be issues at different times of the year storing or refrigerating food. We're consuming resources at a remarkable pace. And because of good old capitalism, and that's the big fight that we have with this electric vehicle thing and with the changeover to that. And even though I don't think that's the answer, and that I'm not a big fan of electric vehicles, because as Stephen Greer says, most of them plug into a grid that's fired by a coal-fired power plant. And it's just simply, you're going around in a different loop. It's like, okay, great, you're not burning fossil fuels, but you're doing it to power the vehicle in a secondary fassion.
You're still reliant on
primary fashion. So it doesn't make a difference. But just even that said, capitalism has created these scenarios where the people who are in power have got to stay rich. We got to stay rich, folks. So what are we going to do? Because our product's bad for the environment. So how are we going to get around this? Because we have to stay rich and we can't become something we're not. And I do Nixon because I think he would be the classic example of, let's just let it all go to hell, shall we?
He's just the scapegoat, isn't he?
It's surely just like, I'm already an old enough man. It won't be too bad when I'm dead and gone. So, it's a problem because the people, and that's exactly, and I know we've gone on many Stephen Greer runs, and we don't need another one probably in the show, although we wish him well. But that's exactly what he's saying is the reason this black shelf technology, all of this 0-point energy that he claims is possible, that's being suppressed from general society. And that's why it's a shame, is because the only reason it's truly being done is because the people that run the world with the oil, the petro-Nazis, as he loves to refer to them as, they've got to keep the power that's associated with that. They have to keep the money and the power that's associated with it, which is, of course, unfathomable. I mean, you look at what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz right now, and one nation that you talk about pretty much is still living in the Stone Age that runs one area where all these dinosaur blubber is coming out of, because that's essentially what it is, along with some plant matter and whatnot. I mean, it's running everything, and they need to keep that power for themselves. They can't afford to lose it on behalf of the rest of us and the planet surviving. It's just unfathomable to them. Why would we want to do that? Save the earth, save the world. Earth doesn't need saving anyway. You can get rid of us. But you know what I'm saying? So it's the quest for greed and dominance that continues to fuel the literal fuel that goes around the planet, and the reason why we won't make this change. And it's honestly not surprising, and hence a small lesson in why Jack Hansen is anti-capitalist. He doesn't agree with the capitalist system because, and I know I'm always challenged, well, what's the alternative? I don't know. Smurfism. We go all the way back to that. I'm a huge Smurfism guy. We've talked about that on the show. I think living in unison, living in unity, and all pitching in to get things done. I think that's very possible. I think a utopian society is possible, but one of the problems is I think that number is very small. I think you could do that with a few hundred people, maybe a few thousand if you were lucky, but 8 billion is getting away from us.
I was going to bring that up, and I think that's kind of one of those. By the way, for those of you in the audience who don't know what zero-point energy is, you should Google it. It's an interesting theory. And that's what it is it's a theory, because no one truly knows if it is possible, but it's an interesting thought. Once you get over the need for electricity, or you get over the, just kind of the conveniences in life aspect of it, I think what the variable in that equation is what other people are going to do. And I think that you have 8 million people whose paradigms now overnight have been shifted, and there's going to be a lot of people who have a hard time with that.
Well, I'm not sure what the exact figure would be here, but I would guess about 6 billion of those, maybe 5, have nothing to do with the equation at all, because they're not plugged into that grid. They'd like to be, and I think that's one of the things that has accelerated this. They've said this, that China coming online, because China is one of those places where you can be in as modern a city as you'll find just about anywhere on the planet, and then drive 10 minutes outside of town and be in the Middle Ages again. So the point that a lot of experts, I guess, for lack of a fancier term, have made regarding the sociological and then, the infrastructural collapses that we're facing here based on the consumption of resources and the pace at which that's happening and the amount of people that are consuming those resources is, if we begin to transform those villages that are just a few meters out of town from Shanghai and, Jinping and all these other places that are modernized, we're going to have a really big problem on our hands really quickly, because we already do from the modernization and the westernization of different parts of the world. Africa doesn't have much to worry about. South Africa and some of the northern rim countries, they have their westernization happening as far as technology and infrastructure is concerned. But most of Middle Africa is in the dark ages still. I mean, yes, the cities are modern. They have running water. Would you want to drink it? They have electricity, but can it be depended upon for what we would depend upon for it on a daily basis? I think the answer is no. So not all 8 billion of those people are plugged in, but all of them would like to be. And the more and more that we plug in, the more and more we tap the system. And then that's why we have these elites that are saying, for one reason or another, because we hold most of the monopoly money, or we are the royalty bullshit, or we come from better blood, or whatever their argument is, no, we're hoarding all this because we're going to live, and we're going to live in comfort, whereas fuck the rest of you. I mean, it's the old king thing. So good news, though, just came out today.
Oh, please have some good news.
Good news, which is the U.S. birth rate has dropped to its lowest level ever.
Really?
Ever. Yes, based on populace, based on the population of the country at this time. So yes, people are going to say, of course, there were fewer babies born, Jack, in 1813 because there was far less people. I know that, but based on the mathematical equations of how many people were actually here in the country at the time, it's the lowest birth rate by the numbers ever. I was happy to hear that.
I have another way of looking at that, though, and I think that's
sure you do.
I think that's part of the equation. I really do think that the birth rate is part of the equation. The question that I would ask, since you said that was such good news, is does that mean that our government is going to give us a better return on the amount of money that we're wasting on foreign wars? Does that mean that our government is going to become more efficient when it comes to providing the services that its citizens need? And I think you and I both know that it has nothing to do with the birth rate. But so in other words, our taxes are going to go down because the tax or the birth rate's going down. And so then you've got these systems like Social Security that are going to be underfunded in the future. These are all kind of like systemic issues. As that population goes down, the state that you and I live in was considered one of the worst when it comes to taxpayer return on investment. And I don't know what the ways of them calculating that return on investment are, but essentially saying that if you live in a state that has a bad ROI, you essentially are paying into a government that is not sustainable.
Let me take it many steps further, if I may.
Yeah, please do.
And let me blow your mind here, or at the very least titillate it with a couple of well-executed and experienced licks. We'll put it that way.
I need a good titillation.
I don't know if there's a word for the disposition. There should be if there's not. But this was very prevalent in the 80s during Reaganomics. You never saw, I don't think, a time when this was more out front. There was definitely a supercharging based on right-wing politics and conservative theology. Mm-hmm. And they melded together to make a perfect instrument. And what this instrument was ideologically, because remember, you're talking about things that are hardline human. Okay, I'm a Republican voting for a human being that's going to get in office and do tangible things to make my life easier. Or, that's all very brute, end of the day, Flintstones, cudgel, hit someone, caveman, drag home dinner stuff. To the thought, and I've been watching a lot of NDE videos lately, and they're fascinating, and they're great because they ground me, and they remind me not to get too hardened to the human experience, because this truly is so transitory. We are here and gone in the blink of an eye, and this is a stage for us to learn and for us to act. And the more that I live, the more that I become absolutely convinced, at least for me personally, that is the case. This is a place where we come to, I don't know if the soul advances or if we just want to do different shit to see what it feels like. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, at the end of the day. Let it go. This is all transitory anyway. This is just a stage for us to come and learn things. So if it turns into a stage that's a stage of sludge and a stage of difficulty and hardship as far as even existing day to day biologically, I guess you'll come here to learn those lessons, won't you? And if you don't want to learn something else, you go somewhere that's in a little more pristine shape that hasn't been wrecked yet. I don't want to think that. See, I don't want that to be the case, and yet I can't help but think that maybe because in some portions of my mind I've already capitulated my experience here, or I've already given up on our ability to turn things around. I also know that the earth doesn't need saving. That's a ridiculous notion. I mean, the earth is going to do just fine for the rest of her life, but she will eventually get swallowed up by the red giant that is going to become our sun, goes back to its cyclical end. That's a fact. We know that through science. That will happen. So it's going to go anyway. But these rich elitist people are crazy. And they're thinking, not only is my life not transitory, I can live forever. I can do it somewhere else. And so can all my progeny who've always been way better than all these other unwashed that are down here. So that's where the they comes from. Those are the people that are the they mindsets, the privileged assholes who run all this stuff. They're going to go to the moon again. They're going to reap the benefits of what's up there, whatever that is. Because this whole thing about going to the moon has me weirded out. Yeah. They're the ones that are going to terraform Mars and live there. See, it's crazy. And so where is it that we have to go to finally get our shit together and get to a point where we're walking the path hand in hand? I think it doesn't lie in the terrestrial. I don't think it lies in terra firma. I don't think it lies within the earth and with the Gaia. I think it's wonderful to have a connection with her. And I think it's fantastic to be connected to the animals that are here and everything that's about your human experience. I'm not shunning that at all. I'm not saying that's not important. But I think the thing that binds human beings and what really makes them tick, that energy, that soul, as we would call it, is out of this world. It's off of this rock. And that's where our true salvation, if we have any, is going to be found.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting that we brought up Artemis again in the same context of this, because you and I were exchanging some texts outside of Existence Brewing. And one of the things that we were exchanging was the picture of the Earth that the astronauts, for the first time since the Apollo program, were actually able to be far enough away from Earth to take a photo of the Earth in full, North Pole to South Pole axis in frame, and you get to see how narrow the ring of atmosphere is around the Earth in comparison to its size, and you get to see the hints of the Northern Lights, and these things that we have all heard are happening around us. You get to see in full picture. While this is all going on with this Artemis program, our country is at war with a foreign power. I don't even know why we did what we did. And
it's the same why. It's always the same why, Michael. I'll just say that. It's always the same why. It's so that the rich can get richer.
I
period.
guess. I was thinking, you know what? This is why the aliens will not let us go past the moon.
That's why the aliens won't let us go past the moon.
He's been at it again, folks.
That's what happens when I have time with AI. I get to create little sounders just like that.
William Shatner, of course, went into space a year or so ago, and upon coming back, he said it was a life-changing experience. It was completely new and different. I'm sorry, I'm not even doing my best Shatner. Honestly, I can do better than that. Anyway,
That wasn't bad.
He said that it completely altered the course of his life as he knew it, and he'd never be the same again. That's a little better. That's more like a Kevin Pollak.
It's
more
almost
like Kevin Pollak doing
gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
So, William Shatner went into space, and again, he, upon returning, he was in tears and exclaimed vehemently for weeks on end that, oh my God, this changes you. It makes you realize how vulnerable we are, how much we should care about each other, how much we should love each other, how beautiful and wondrous and amazing and splendorous and splendorific the earth is, and how we need to treat her better. And the son of a bitch still charges $200 for an autograph at fucking Comic-Con, by the way.
Of course he does.
Anyway, I am
so
weirded
true.
out. The Jack that is not focusing on this being, again, a stage where it's just ephemeral and we're playing this out. And the Jack that isn't playing out the string and trying to figure out the ulterior reasons why he may be here, the spiritually ulterior reasons why he may be here, the one that's truly concerned about, is there going to be bologna in the fridge? Is my fridge going to work to cool the bologna? Are the bologna trucks going to get through? Is there going to be bologna this year for Christmas? That guy, I hate bologna, by the way, but this is a good enough example. That Jack is worried about what they're doing up there around the moon, because I'm weirded out, I got to admit, with this whole moon thing suddenly. First of all, where the fuck did this come from? Out of the blue.
The space program in the 60s began in the early 1960s. In fact, it began in the late 50s, but began getting publicly popularized in the early 60s. But all of the sudden, I mean, I heard no chatter about this at all. We're going to the moon. Did you hear that? Not months ago, let alone years ago. All of a sudden, one day, it's just, oh yeah, they're going to the moon, and they're going to the far side this time, and they're going to take pictures and aerial telemetry and 10 million other things that we don't even know about what they're going to fuck around with up there. What's going on? What are they doing? Because the story that we've been told by the insiders that we're not supposed to know is that we were told, don't come back. You shouldn't be here. You're not ready to be here. You're not even close to being ready to be here. Come back when you're ready to be here, and we'll have a conversation about this. But until then, stick your little flag in the 19th hole that you think is your satellite and go the fuck home and stay there. So all of a sudden now that just seems to be blown up because we're back there again. And I'd like to know, of course, maybe I wouldn't like to know what we're really doing up there. Because it has to do with resources. It has to, because the moon does have a lot of very rare elemental resources. And so it has to do with Musk and everybody else that's in the tech sector getting their hands on that.
It is amazing to me how advanced we think we are. I loved one of the quotes that I heard from one of the astronauts. That's why we call it a moonshot, is because it's not easy. And then when you start to look at how far in our universe we've been able to even physically travel, or what we even really know about our universe, I mean, it's like we haven't even been able to walk into the kitchen and get a bologna sandwich when it comes to how big and massive the universe is. I mean, we're like stuck on the couch.
How advanced we are it's suddenly become how scientifically advanced we are. In the modern era, it's boiled down to, well, we're not very advanced at all because, like you said, we can only go so far into the solar system and we can only go so far out and past it. And basically, we can only set foot on our satellite, and that is a heavy, heavy lift. I think a truly advanced civilization, no matter how large or small it might be, would say this thing, this happy joy thing, this happy, like Ren and Stimpy, happy, joy, that exists. We need to spread this around, man. We need to figure out a way so that everybody is experiencing this as much as possible, and without the interaction of psychotropic drugs either, by the way. No jokes about mushrooms for all, Jack, or, everybody gets a marijuana toke in the morning. We need to set forth an actionable plan, something that all of us do every day, something that all of us say every day, a mantra of sorts that never ends to keep this amazing feeling about being here with one another going. And I know that's corny as hell, but that's the way Jack thinks when he really gets into himself and when he really feels like, because it's so possible. It's so possible. And we could still probably have great satire and great comedy, and we could still probably have great tragedies. Like Shakespeare could still be a thing, and we go, oh my God, can you imagine if that happened for real? It never does, thankfully, because we all love each other and care about each other and are blessed to be here in this amazing world, in this amazing universe. But can you imagine? Shakes, you're all right. You've done it again. You've tapped into something that we could only imagine in the darkest corners of our mind would be possible. And yet Shakespeare's story is repeated every day in Tennessee, maybe sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. I mean, so to me, that's an advanced civilization. An advanced civilization is one that says, hey, before we start looking for reasons to step outside of our own zone, our own sector, our own planet, whatever we call it, we're good. This is awesome. We're only doing this because we're so bored with being so fucking zippity doodah happy all the time that we're going to build a rocket and go somewhere else and see if we can spread this shit around the big wide universe that we can only see this much of through an optic.
Right? That's exactly it. It's like, do we have our bases covered? And I think that's again why.
That's why the aliens won't let us go past the moon.
So did you set out for it to be a barbershop
like,
I
a
did.
swing number? Or
I gave it
okay, I thought you may have
prompt.
played with some other things.
No, I
Okay.
gave it the prompt. I wanted a 1940s barbershop quartet, and then I gave it the lyrics. That's why the aliens won't let us go past the moon. And that's what we got. And
I will readily admit this too, again, provided that you trust Michael and I, which I certainly hope you do by now. Because
yeah, we're not real
guys.
We're not
never
real.
steer you wrong. We don't. You notice how we never ask you to like or subscribe?
Nope.
Don't hit that subscribe. It's never going to happen.
We're never going to ask you for money.
Anything. There's no swag.
No,
I
we're
mean,
never going to ask you.
There's no donations to our cause. There's
We
nothing
might
like
have
that.
swag just so you can.
You have swag now.
Yeah, and in the future we'll give you the option, for swag, but it'll only be to further the Kool-Aid drinking.
But just to prove that point, I had no idea that he was sitting on that, and yet he knew that I was going to bring up the story, the long-standing story about extraterrestrial intelligences telling us to stay the fuck away from the moon, and he's sitting on that the whole. So see, this is the brain that we share.
Yeah, no, we're
I
definitely.
had no idea that he had that.
We're tapping in to the stream of everlasting consciousness, man. That's what we're doing.
I do that with Folger's dark sparkling crystals every morning. So they have no idea, though. Don't tell them.
Some kind of crystal.
Couldn't believe this. So get a load of this. A pastor, here's the story. A pastor in the UK has been charged with gross negligence manslaughter in connection with the drowning death of a man she was baptizing in a backyard kiddie pool. True story. I'm not making this up. 48-year-old Cheryl Bartley of Life Changing Ministries, I'll say, is accused of causing the death of 61-year-old Robert Smith, who police say had traveled from London to Birmingham specifically to be baptized at Bartley's church. Smith had Parkinson's disease, unfortunately, and drowned during the ceremony, which was being live streamed on Facebook, of course, because live streaming a baptism, of course. Bartley scheduled to appear in court next month. Can you believe this? The guy drowns at a baptismal ceremony in a kiddie pool. I mean, that's got to be like day 2 of the baptismal thing. Okay, fill the chamber with water.
Well,
make
and
sure that, I mean,
how many people were at this baptism and nobody said, "Hey, wait a minute, let's grab this guy. He's sinking." And it's not in like the Sun or anything.
No.
It's a reputable newspaper. Newspaper.
It appears that the man truly did succumb to drowning at this baptismal because they held him underwater too long, and he died.
That's terrible.
I had to share that just for the sake of the world that we live in. I mean, to go through life. They said he was, what did I say? He was 60 something, 61. So
but he was suffering from Parkinson's.
You're a little ways behind me, so I'm 52.
Yeah.
So I'm about 9 years from 61. But even at 52, I just can't picture that. It's like all the things that I've seen, all the things that I've done, which isn't a lot. I'm not a world traveler. I haven't been married to, a bunch of women, and I'm not Warren Beatty, certainly. And for all the things you can say I haven't done, I've lived a relatively, I guess, median human life. I've done a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. But I just can't imagine cataloging all of those in a rapid fire slideshow over 52 years, 61 in his case, and then going to a baptismal. I've never been baptized. Of course, I won't be, because it's not something that I don't think I would ever want to do, because I'm just that flying house in space with all the doors and windows open, because I just love ideas so much. I don't want to close myself off and pick one. But I mean, to get to that point and, this is it. Like his life flashed before his eyes. To me, this is where you have to float upside your body, and, who's ever waiting for you on the other side, as they say, or in this membrane that exists between the next world and ours, however you want to see it, takes your hand and just goes, hell of a deal, huh? Look at that. And then you laugh right along with them and go, this is so fitting. I mean, of all the crazy fucking ways for my physical existence to end, we told you not to take it so seriously your whole life, and here's why. Because that's just insane. That's just crazy. So anyway, I wanted to share that for what it was.
Oh, while he was being baptized and born again.
Better that to me than 24 years of chicken McNuggets every day.
Yeah.
Or something akin to that. I mean, so there's a lot of worse ways, if you ask me.
I guess,
a lot of selective ways.
When it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
I suppose. Here's something else I'll tell you about too, real quick. And yeah, this can be our download, I suppose, because it's basically gonna piss me off enough to want to share what I feel like is the idiom or the allegory that's waiting at the end of this tale. So I wrote a news story a week or so ago, very simple write-up. It was based on a Facebook post that had been put out by one of our local sheriff's offices in a county, a neighboring county to the one that we're in. And it was warning about a scam. I had not heard about this scam before. We get lots of scam notifications from our law enforcement officials, and they appreciate it when we publicize them, one and all, because it, of course, effectively saturates the public with the knowledge that these things that people may encounter are in fact scams, and then they won't get scammed and they can hold on to their hard-earned money or whatever it is that people are trying to get from them that are scammers. I had not heard of this scam. Perhaps you have, but I arrived at a rather sour note that people were not expecting, but this is how Jack Hansen sees things. This scam involves a person faking being in a perilous situation. They will come up to you and they will say, try to appeal to whatever good Samaritan nature you have. And they will say, oh, my family and I've got 5 children and my wife, and she's a diabetic, and we got robbed last night. Somebody took our last dollar, and I don't have enough gas to get back to my home, which is in, and they'll tell you some town that's a couple hundred miles away. Look, I really need some gas money, and I want to do something in return. So, and then off of their person, this is very important because it personalizes it. From off of their person, they will retrieve a piece of jewelry, a ring or a necklace or a bracelet or a watch, and they'll take it off their body and dangle it before you and say, please, this is all I have. It's a precious heirloom. My father gave me this watch. I know it's worth at least $5,000. All I need is $200. Please, I've got to get back home. I'm begging you. I've asked the local Salvation Army. They won't help me. I've gone to the churches. They said no. Please, I'm begging you. And so then the person takes the watch, which is absolutely an hunk of fucking Chinese tin worth 7 cents, on the dollar, if that, gets into their wallet, feathers through their bills if they're carrying enough cash. Here you go. Here's $200. Or they go to the ATM with this person and they fish out the money. Here you go. Best of luck to you. Thanks a lot for the watch. Okay. So it's the scam. And they're warning, watch out for this scam because, you don't want to lose your $200. Hey, I'll tell you what, this is the way I saw it. This is what I wanted to print, but of course I couldn't and didn't because, I'd lose my job. If you are the kind of motherfucker that would want to profit off of this person's sorrows, you are deserving of losing every dollar that you might hand them. I understand that it's a scam, but if the first thing you do is think to yourself, hey, this is my lucky day. This poor bastard's out of gas and his family's waiting in the car and they're all dying of hunger and starvation and thirst. And I can make $1.50 today because I'll tell you, this watch is a Rolex for sure. I know it. I'm in 10 grand, maybe 12. I can go to the track this weekend. I couldn't believe that. I read that and was just like, how can people be so predatory that they would actually want to take advantage by taking the trinket? How about just giving them some money? Say, look, I'm not giving you $200. I'll give you 10. And if you happen to be a scammer, God bless you. No. Because I've done the right thing anyway. You know what I mean? But that made me sick. That made me sick that we're actually defending, and I know they're scammers, but we're actually by default defending the mentality of don't think that it's your lucky day because it's not. When it's almost like it should be your lucky day, though. Bullshit. It should not be your lucky day. You should not be able to profiteer on this person's misery. You should not be able to pawn this person's misery for thousands of dollars off of their, class ring that they've had or their ring that their father handed down or whatever. Because you have to know that those things have probably happened before.
And sons of bitches that come along say, yeah, I'll take that ring and give you $20 because the pawn shops do it every day. Sickening. Made me just, I was so mad. So again, intent. Always be thinking of intent. One of those NDE experiencer videos that I watched recently, the person was going through what they call a life review, which is another common thing with experiencers of NDEs. They will go through a look at their life and they will be shown things. And they always claim, most of them claim, I thought I was going to be shown the biggest moments that I felt were impactful in my life. I thought I was going to be shown the day that I met my future spouse and got married, or the day that I graduated from the Army or high school or college, or the day I did my first hysterectomy as an OBGYN or whatever. They show you the little tiny things that you've done one way or another that have made an enormous difference in another person's life. And the good ones are always the kindest and smallest acts of kindness that you can imagine that are shown to people. And this one woman, one of the reasons I love to watch these, it's not about Jack being right, but it's about me just knowing that whatever I've tapped into, it's good stuff. Whatever's talking to me is the right thing as far as I'm concerned, because this woman was talking about intent. I learned that my intent through my entire life, whether I carried out a good act or a bad one or nothing at all, was the most important thing. And I was like, yes, sister, you got it. You're exactly right. So this one, right along with the same boxcars. Your intent in that situation means everything. So when you go to, I could scam this guy myself out of, look at this, I'm going to get a $5,000 class ring today for $200. This is a good day. It's terrible. It's a bad intent. Got to change it.
Would you like a schmoke and a pancake?
A what?
A schmoke and a pancake. Flapjack and a cigarette? All right. Cigar and a waffle? No. Pipe and a crepe? No. Bong and a blintz?
No.
Oh, well, then there is no pleasing you. It's not right.
What kind of a snazzy nightclub did you bring me into?
Well, I had to follow up your Can't Go Past the Moon Swing Town song.
It's going to be stuck in your head for a while, isn't it?
Yeah, you did a good job. I'd like to hear the full version, though. Is there more?
Oh, there's like 7 versions, and I'm just going to pop them in at random from here on out.
Okay. All right. As long as you share them along the way, because we have people that want to download those.
Oh, of course. What are we listening to, by the way?
This fella, I can't remember. I was just thinking, I can't remember if this guy's Swiss or Austrian, but his artist's name is Tintenfish. Tintenfish. I don't know if that's his real last name or if it's some pseudonym that he decided upon some way, but he put out one studio album. This is what it's from, and it's great. I've always loved this little album.
I'll be here all week, folks. Try the Tintenfish.
Tintenfish.
Try the Tintenfish.
Like window tint. Tintenfish. Yeah. Try that too.
Tip your waitress on your way out.
Tip her over, and then you can move abroad.
Oh, gosh.
Well, it looks like Jack and Michael have finished up their latest chat about all things existence. But if anything they said got your own Existence Brewing, be sure and catch their other talks at existencebrewing.com and drop them an email to share your thoughts using contact@existencebrewing.com.
Existence Brewing.